This is the Lamson Purist 2, and it's the newest click and pawl reel in the Lamson lineup. And today, I'm here to review it. If you've been following the Lamson brand for a while, you've probably already heard of the Purist. They've been making a version of the Purist for a really long time. In fact, before Lamson was Lamson, it was Waterworks Lamson, and before that, Waterworks and Lamson were separate companies. And I believe the Purist was one of the original Waterworks reels. So that's how long this lineage dates back. And it's always been sort of more or less the same. A very lightweight, minimalist click-pawl reel, and the new Purist 2 is no different. So if you've been looking for a high-performance click-pawl reel, this new Purist is definitely one you're going to want to check out, and we'll tell you why by diving into our 5 factors, starting with the drag. This being a click-pawl reel, it does not have a drag, so this is going to be a pretty short one. But I've been fishing a lot of click-pawls recently, and I did want to touch a little bit on the click-pawl mechanism, because that mechanism differs a lot on reels, and I do think it is a point of differentiation. So if we pop open the new Purist, you'll see these 2 pieces of plastic here. And that's going to be essentially the entire click mechanism. You've got one thick end and one thin end. So if you want to reverse that, the sound and the drag will switch around. It's also not adjustable, so what you get is what you get. And I would say that one downside to that is this being a plastic piece, between UV and just overall wear and tear, you are going to get some change in that as you use this reel. There's going to be a break-in, and eventually that's going to start to break down, and you're going to start getting less and less of that resistance that you actually want on a clicker. That said, it's a super easy part to switch out, and I'm sure Lamson will send you one for little to no cost if you break it or damage it, or you just need a new one. I'm a little disappointed though that they don't just include a spare in the box. It seems like a little bit of an oversight there. And because it doesn't have a drag, it's also not sealed. But I would say if you were to use a 5-weight click-pawl in the salt, this one would be pretty good. It really doesn't have any exposed parts. It's super minimalistic. And while we are on the topic of minimal, this does have some homages to the original Purist. You'll see that the single bar design on the handle side is definitely the same as the old reel. The old reel also incorporated this toothy design on the other side. So there are definitely some things that look like the old Purist, although I think if you were doing a true homage, you would probably make this in the original black-silver colorway. But that's enough about drag, let's talk spool. And the spool design on this is really good. And I think that's one of the ways that this reel stands out from reels like the Sage Click. We've got a really large max diameter of 3.6 inches, and that's matched with a very narrow 0.8 inch width and an arbor size of 2.66 inches. So this is going to be a click-pawl reel that picks up line very quickly. And it picks up line at roughly 9 inches per turn, or roughly 130 turns for your 100-foot fly line. And that is really fast for this type of reel. So while this reel doesn't have a drag, when you go to reel that fish back in, you'll be able to do that very quickly. And if a fish turns and comes towards you, you can pick up that line really fast. All that being said, while I do enjoy a modern high-performance clicker, I do think we are still limited by the fact that it is a clicker, and while you can design the spool and make it massive, it's still going to be limited by the fact that there is no drag. So for a true modern reel, you'd have to stick a drag on this, but I do think this is a really high-performing clicker if that's what you're into. In terms of backing capacity, this reel doesn't hold very much. I'd say 75 yards or so with your weight forward 5-weight. Honestly, you're fishing a click-pawl reel, it's probably more than you need anyway. Up next is going to be the weight, and this Purist 2 comes in at 3.17 ounces, which is extremely light. You'll notice that this reel has virtually no material on it, and it is a very lightweight reel. And when you think about this being a 5-weight sized reel, a hair over 3 ounces is just insanely light. And while this is an insanely light reel, I will add that you can get a reel with a full drag like the Force SL or the Lightspeed F, still from Lamson, for only a little tiny bit of extra weight. In fact, on the 5-weight Force SL, it only weighs 1 or 2/10 of an ounce more, and frankly, that makes those reels absurdly light, and by comparison, by getting rid of the drag, they didn't save that much weight on this Purist. Again though, this reel is still super lightweight, and there's probably not a setup out there that you'll really need a lighter weight reel. This review is brought to you by Trident Travel, which is our new destination travel service where you'll get our expert advice, planning, and guidance at no additional cost. That means no credit card fees, no booking fees, and for a limited time, you'll even earn Trident rewards on your travel bookings. So with every trip you book, you'll be earning valuable points that you can use towards free tackle here at Trident. Recently, we've had some clients go on some absolutely fantastic trips like bone fishing in Belize, steelhead fishing in BC, and tarpon fishing in Belize. So if you're thinking about taking a fly fishing trip, Trident Travel is the way to do it. We've got a ton of great destinations, excellent service, and even more destinations being added every month. Check us out at tridentflyfishing.com/travel. So let's move on to the sound, and the sound, as you'd expect on a clicker, is great. Let's have a listen. I think that incoming sound is pure Lamson. It really sounds like a lot of the other Lamson reels, which should be no surprise because that same plastic piece that controls the click mechanism in this reel is pretty similar to the plastic click mechanism on most of their reels. On the outgoing, however, you do get a much more fulfilling sound, and one that is really more reminiscent of that old Purist. That said, the old Purist was really loud, and this is not that loud. But honestly, that's probably a good thing. The old reel was too loud, in my opinion. Overall, you've got a great sounding reel, and you're gonna get tons of feedback, and it's definitely an homage to that old school click-pawl sound in a modern high-performance form. And last but not least is ergonomics, and when it comes to clickers, there's not a lot to talk about here. This reel does have a really nice handle. Lamson has decided to go with a metal handle for this reel, which I think is an interesting choice. I'm not sure if they've done that for any of their other reels recently. It does retain that same great shape though, and so this is a really comfortable handle and something I'm really happy about. Additionally, if you want to change spools, it's really easy. You just give it one quick pop, and it comes right out. And of course, since this doesn't have a drag, there is no drag knob, so nothing to worry about there. The price, which as you probably expect, is quite high, and this comes in at $389. And while that's an extremely high price for a click-pawl reel, I do think there is some value to be had here. It is amongst, if not the highest performing reel in this category. With that said, it would have been really nice to get this reel for less than a Lightspeed F. With that said, for this price, you can basically get yourself into a Speedster S, which is a fantastic full drag, super high performing freshwater reel. And frankly, for most people in most applications, that's going to be a better choice. There are also reels that are very lightweight, like this, that are a little bit less money, albeit perhaps slightly less high performing. I think it really boils down to the person who is either a big fan of Lamson or someone who absolutely must have a click-pawl and wants nothing but the highest performing reel, because this is going to be that. If that level of performance isn't that important to you, which I suspect is where most anglers fall, there are other reels that are fairly similar that do almost everything for less money. What do you think about this reel? Would you buy one? Do you fish a click-pawl? Tell us what you think by leaving a comment in the box below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel because it really helps us out, and you'll get notified of all of our future great reel reviews. And don't forget, if you've got questions, we've got answers. Shoot us a call at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@tridentflyfishing.com. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching.